So, good evening, students. Let us continue with the poem Last Ride Together by Robert Browning. So, the background of the poem is that the speaker is having a last ride together with his departing beloved, and he is in a very mixed sort of mood. He is sad, but he is still optimistic. He is sad that because it is the last time they're having a ride together, and he is optimistic about the fact that he is living in the moment. For him, the moment is equivalent to eternity because the company of his beloved is so concentrated in joy that he thinks that whole life compared to that particular moment is not important, is not significant. Only that particular moment when he is with his beloved is very beautiful. And he compares his writing with the achievements of poet, sculptor, and with the achievement of statesman, soldier. He says that a lot of people try to achieve something or other, but how many succeed? And he says that at least I have succeeded in this little request that I am having a last ride together with my beloved. So let us continue. I will read out the stanza and then explain it, the meaning to you. And you, great sculptor, so you gave a score of years to art, her slave. And that is your Venus, whence we turn to yonder girl that fords the burn. You, acquiesce, and shall I repine? What, man of music, you grown grey with notes and nothing else to say? Is this your sole praise from a friend? Greatly his operas strains intend. Put in music, we know how fashions end. I gave my youth, but we ride in fine. So, here in this stanza, he compares his achievement with two artists, sculptor and musician. He says, and you great sculptor, so you gave a score of years to art. When we look at a sculptor, we have an image of an old person who has sacrificed his whole life to achieve the perfection of sculpture. So, a score of years to art, her slave. Art is the slave of the muse of sculpture. So, he says, a sculptor, he gives his whole life in order to achieve the perfection, and that is your Venus, whence we turn to yonder girl that fords the burn. So, for us, the statue is just a girl. But the statue which is made by an artist, for him it is the Venus, it is the goddess. He tries to achieve that perfection, that finesse. Remember Pygmalion. Pygmalion was a great artist and he used to make a statue and break it. Every time he completed the statue, he broke it. Why? Because he thought that it is not perfect. And the name of the statue was Galatia. So, an artist, whoever he is, whether he is a musician or whether he is a poet or whether he is a painter or a sculptor, all the artists, they try to achieve that perfection. And in order to achieve that perfection, they sacrifice their whole life. What man of music, you grown grey with notes and nothing else to say? Now he is talking of musicians. Musicians also, they grow grey. Grey means they grow old living with the notes of music. With notes and nothing else to say. For them, everything is music. They spend their life in music only. They sacrifice their life living with music. Is this your sole praise from a friend? Greatly his operas strains intend. They give their whole life to music in order to improvise music. But the sole praise is greatly his operas strain intend. Put in music, we know how fashions end. See how people change their attitude towards artists. They praise the artist, but whenever a new sort of music comes in or a new artist enters the field of music, they say that how soon fashions end. It means that whenever a new sort of music, whenever a new artist arises, what happens? That people forget the old one. We see in the film industry also that a newcomer enters into the film industry. He raises his reputation, he becomes very popular, but very soon another person comes and we forget about him. So it is same with the artist, same with the musician also. Put in music, we know how fashions end. Fashions in music end very soon. I gave my youth, but we ride in fine. As the artists sacrificed their life, I also sacrificed my youth for this beautiful lady. But we ride in fine. What is my achievement? That today she is with me. Today I am riding a ride with my beloved. In fine means I have not lost my youth as the artists. Now the next stanza. Who knows what is fit for us? Had fate proposed bliss here should sublimate my being. Had I signed the bond, still one must lead some life beyond. Have a bliss to die with, dim descried. This foot once planted on the goal, this glory garland round my soul. Could I descry such? Try and test. I sink back shuddering from the quest. Earth being so good, would heaven seem best? Now heaven and she are beyond this ride. Now we should salute the optimism of the poet. How optimistic, how positive he is. He says, who knows what is fit for us? He says that whatever God is doing is fit for us. Everything happens for good. Who knows what is fit for us? Had fate proposed bliss here should sublimate my being? Had I signed the bond? He says that if I would have achieved the love of my beloved, I would have attained bliss on earth only. Then what would I have looked forward to? What would I have expected after death in heaven if I would have achieved heavenly bliss on earth only, receiving the love of my beloved? Then what bliss would I expect of heaven? Had I signed the bond? Now what is the bond? God says that you can have bliss only once. Either you can have bliss on this earth or you can have bliss in the heaven. So he says it is good that I did not sign the bond of having bliss on the earth, because if I would have had bliss on this earth, I would have been devoid of that bliss in heaven. So at least I have something to look forward to when I die. At least I have something filled with hope when I die, that I will get bliss after death in heaven. Still one must lead some life beyond. So he says life beyond means after death. So when I will live my life beyond death, then I will be expecting something good from heaven. And if I would have achieved bliss on this earth, then there would have been nothing in heaven. Have a bliss to die with, dim descried. At least I have a bliss to die with. At least I have a hope that when I die, I will achieve bliss in heaven. This foot once planted on the goal, this glory garland round my soul, could I descry such? So, if this garland of glory metaphor, garland of glory means having a blissful life on this earth. If I would have led a blissful life on this earth, there would have been nothing to expect after death. Try and test. I sink back shuddering from the quest. Earth being so good, would heaven seem best? So he says, I shudder from this thought, and I sink back shuddering from the quest. Quest, search for bliss. Earth being so good, would heaven seem best? If I would have attained the love of my beloved, earth would have been good for me. Then would heaven seem best? Then what would heaven be like? If I would have achieved heavenly joy, heavenly bliss, heavenly pleasure on this earth, what would heaven be for me? There would have been no charm for heaven. Now heaven and she are beyond this ride. Now he says, heaven and she, my beloved, they are beyond this ride. At least I have something to hope for after death. So I will attain heavenly bliss after my death, and I will attain, maybe I will attain the love of my beloved in next life. And so this is the last stanza which I am reading now. And yet she has not spoke so long. What if heaven be that fair and strong, at life's best, with our eyes upturned, whither life's flower is first discerned? We, fix it so, ever should so abide. What if we still ride on, we too, with life forever old yet new, changed not in kind but in degree, the instant made eternity. And heaven just proved that I and she ride right together forever ride. Now here he is talking of the moment being turned into eternity. He says that my beloved has not spoken for such a long time. She was silently sitting with me. What if heaven be that fair and strong? Now he says that heaven should act in a very fair manner, because I have loved my beloved very much. I have loved her sincerely. So heaven should act in a very fair and strong manner. And what should heaven do? That heaven should convert this moment into eternity by ending life at life's best. So he says that today at this moment I am on my life's best, because after this moment, after this ride is over, I will not be able to attain this bliss forever. So life would be at its decline. So today, at this particular moment, life is at its best. So he says, life is at our best today, and with our eyes upturned towards sky, towards heaven, with whither life's flower is first discerned. So our eyes are looking at the heaven, from where our life started. We fix it so, ever should so abide. So God should do something that our ride should continue forever and ever. So then I would have this bliss of living with my beloved forever. What if we still ride on, we too, with life forever old yet new? He says that for me, this ride is the life. After this ride, there would be death. So he says, God should do something that this ride never ends. This ride ever continues forever and ever. Forever life old yet new. I just want to ride and ride and ride with my beloved, because this is the best moment of my life. Changed not in kind but in degree, the instant made eternity. So I don't want to change this thing in kind but in degree, the instant made eternity. This instant should be made eternity. I want that this instant should become eternal. How can this instant become eternal? That it should never end. Either my life should end, so I will have this hope that or this satisfaction that I lived with my beloved forever, or this ride should go on and on forever. So this instant made eternity. And heaven just proved that I and she ride together, forever ride. So God should do this justice. God should help us. God should bless us, that this ride should go on and on for ever and ever. So this was the end of the poem, and we might have noticed that this poem is filled with optimism. He is hopeful that this moment will be converted into eternity, and he is living in the present. He wants that this instant, this moment should be converted into eternity. And if we compare and contrast this poem with the last Duchess, My Last Duchess, we see that there the husband was very cruel with his wife and without any reason. And here we see the attitude of this person. He is so complacent. He does not complain. He wants that his beloved should be happy, even if she is happy leaving him. And he just wants to have a last ride together. He gives her thanks. He blesses her name. He does not curse her, he does not complain her. So this is the main point of contrast. And this is a dramatic monologue. And as I told you, that dramatic monologue is a speech spoken by a single person in the presence of a silent listener. So here, who is the speaker? The lover is the speaker and the beloved is the silent listener. And there are certain features of a dramatic monologue which I will tell you. Dramatic monologue starts suddenly. It has got an abrupt starting. So we have noticed in this poem that it starts abruptly, and then there are a lot of dramatic elements in it. There are a lot of pauses, there are a lot of rhetoric questions and punctuation marks, and somewhere there are only dots. They signify that the speaker is thinking something, and then he resumes his speaking, and he reacts to the reactions of the silent listener. So we come to know the presence of the silent listener. A lot of questions which the speaker asks and he himself answers, rhetoric questions. So all these features makes a monologue more and more dramatic. So I hope you understood this poem. Thank you.